So we're here for integration, and the story of what's been happening over 2024 since we came back from Peru in December after our diet and after our adventure, which we shared with you guys in part 1 and part 2. And it's really quite synchronistic how we ended up having this talk tonight, because as you know, some of the stories I've been sharing over the last 2 episodes is that I look at the codings and the effect that the energetics are having on us at any point in time. And interestingly enough, in the energetics of the day is actually the energetics that exist between Danyal and I. And so this talk being on this day at this time is really relevant, because we quite literally haven't been in a place to talk about integration really until now. Because the integration has been happening since day one. It started on the 1st of January as we were floating around in the post-euphoria of this diet and the immense journeys that we had been on over the course of 30 days. We'd taken 18 journeys, I think, or 17. We still had one to take. Yeah. Which we ended up also taking on the 5th of January, which is the same coding as today. And we did the last ceremony with Rob before we came back on I think on the 6th. We came back on the 6th and landed on the 8th, somewhere around there. And from the word go, the tests of the diet started. And this is the way that the medicine seems to integrate into our lives, is through tests. Because how else are you supposed to learn courage without having to face fear? How else are you supposed to learn wisdom without going through very complex trials and tribulations? Because these things are not gifts that are just given. They are realizations that come through with the tests that the plants give us. And so we were set to go and integrate at a whole other center up in a different part of Pucallpa. And we had been a little bit nervous about taking this journey up the river and going and doing our integration at another center with another family. We were concerned about the safety and security of our diets and the energies that we had just been a part of. And we were still, while we were protected by the arcanas of the maestros, which are their protection songs, their protection incantations, we were still unsure about this process and whether we should go there or not. On the afternoon of the 1st or the morning of the 2nd, when we were about to go there, we received a message from the center that said they'd had some kind of like storm overnight, and they now didn't have any power and any water, and they offered us a refund on whether we should or shouldn't go. And so this first test rose up to make this decision, to make this hard call of canceling. We had to pay a deposit to go to this place, so there was already money down. But we were unsure about going there, and so we declined it. We lent on the tests that we'd gone through in the lead up to getting to Peru, and the year that we had gone through with the specific kinds of themes and potentials that were in the year that we were in. Very testy year, full of temptations, where we had to say no a lot. And so it was easy for us to say no on the 2nd or 3rd of January, and decide to stay at the center that we had already been at for the past 4 weeks. They welcomed us in with open arms, and it was a really beautiful place for us to begin our integration. And where that integration then kicked off with another ceremony with Maestro Rob before we flew back to Lima. When we flew back to Lima, it was wild. We had literally just come out of our last ceremony. And we landed in Lima, and I wanted to meet a gentleman in Lima to begin to get into some kind of commercial trade with him, because I was looking for specific plants from the jungle that would aid in a product that I've been developing. And so we met this gentleman in Lima, but he called us into a part of Lima that was not very, very, I don't know how to say it. It just wasn't well put together. It was thousands and thousands of people in this market. You literally were shoulder to shoulder everywhere you were walking, while we had like an hour left in this market to traverse this huge market to find Agua de Florida, tobacco, copal, these other plants that we were looking for. We eventually ended up taking a journey into these favelas deep into Lima. We took a train that went like 4 or 5 stations deep, and we rocked up at this place. We were the only gringos, white people that were in this place. We were literally getting catcalled and whistled at and chirped by the locals as we got off the train, and we were now looking for a collectivo to take us to this guy's place. We got there. As we got to this guy's place, the dog automatically attacked us at the door, and we had to navigate this process of this dog wanting to bite us. Eventually, we got these products, and the guy ordered us a taxi, and off we went. And we got ourselves out of this very precarious, very rowdy, wild, like very primal part of Lima, and back to the beautiful place we were staying in Miraflores, which was like on the coast and beautiful with the ocean and the apartments and whatnot. And so instantly we were being traversed through these very difficult situations. The test just continued, because we left Lima and we flew to Sao Paulo. And every flight that we took on the way to Peru, we left anywhere between 3 and 6 hours of space between flights, so that we could catch those flights, because we were flying with some airlines that weren't like 100% sure. We were flying Taj Airline and Golan Airlines. They aren't the best reviews, so we were unsure. So we left a lot of space. But on the way back, we only had one flight where we had 90 minutes to get off this flight, get on the next flight, and then fly to Luanda. As we were flying into Sao Paulo, we were busy descending. We were maybe 10, 15 minutes away from landing. We hear the captain come over the speaker, and he tells us that the weather has really turned at Sao Paulo, and we now have to fly all the way to Rio de Janeiro. We were like, okay, cool. We now have to fly all the way to Rio de Janeiro. So off we went, and we parked on the runway at Rio de Janeiro. We were literally there for 20 minutes, not even like 15, 20 minutes. We took off again. We flew back to Sao Paulo. And as we flew down into Sao Paulo on the like air tracker, the airplane tracker app that we were using, we literally watched our Taj airline fly off to Luanda. And we were like, okay, now what the fuck are we going to do now? To be honest, like, we're now stuck in Sao Paulo. It's 6 o'clock at night. We don't have anywhere to stay. We don't speak Portuguese. We actually didn't know what to do. We ended up spending about 7 hours in the airport, getting accommodation, rebooking our flights, getting food vouchers, chatting to South Africa, getting support from South Africa financially. It was like a wild roller coaster ride. We eventually got into a taxi to this hotel in Sao Paulo. The taxi driver was absolutely hammered. We were just swerving left and right on the road as he drank like some clear water liquid out of this little cheeky bottle that he had. But it was hazardous. It was so dangerous. We were so grateful that we made it back to this hotel, where we got like 2-3 hours sleep before we got up for breakfast. We had a chow. We made it back to the airport, where we then had to get into another debate with Taj Airlines about our luggage, about our booking, and about how we were going to get back to South Africa without paying another 20 grand, 30 grand a ticket, which we didn't have at that point in the journey. We had bags full of textiles, but we had no money left, Yeah. So how was the lessons of control in that process, my love?
So what was very interesting is, we had a bag full of stuff. Actually, we went to Peru with 2 bags, and we came back with 4. So we were a little bit concerned about getting all of this stuff back into South Africa, like through customs, the whole works. And we were advised by a friend to sing songs of protection, over the bags, and to basically pray over these bags. And yeah, so then what happened was, this is what we did in Lima, right? I just want to check, can everyone see me okay? Is everything good? Okay, lekker. So then yeah, we we prayed over these bags, and we did their protection, and we wrapped them up in Lima, and off they went. And so when we got to Brazil and we had missed our connecting flight, in Brazil, they let us know that we couldn't actually have our bags back. They were going to just wait until the next flight, and they would automatically end up on the next flight. So, yeah, we basically just had our backpacks. Thankfully, we packed things like toothbrushes. And when we were booking in the next day on our flights, we triple checked with the person at the counter that our bags would in fact be on our flight home. I asked the dude, and he looked me right in the eye and he said, yes, which was a complete and total made up lie. Because then we got back to Johannesburg, and we waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and no bags came. So then we just had to basically have a lot of faith, because all 4 of our bags, the 2 bags full of goodies that we collected along our travels and during the dieta and all throughout the trip, and all the gifts that we brought back, and etc., were all in there. So this was personally my very first test of surrender and faith for the year. As we started communicating with the airlines backwards and forwards, the one airline's blaming the other airline, like no one's taking responsibility, but at least Johannesburg Airport is on top of things, and they deal with this all the time. About 2 days later, two of the 4 bags came back, and the next day the other 2 came back completely unscathed, completely unharmed, all in one piece. And we could literally just drive into the airport, park the car, walk into a room and pick them up and go. So it was quite a beautiful experience, because they say that, like, you can ask for what you ask for, but the how it happens is just not up to us. Yeah. So we asked for our bags to be protected and to be safe and to make their way completely back to South Africa, and that they did, but completely not in the way that we would have hoped. Right? And so, yeah, that was essentially like the lessons around faith and surrender, and just a complete trust in the process, a complete trust in the plants. And everything came back 100% perfect.
Yeah, it all came back 100% perfect. With, like Danielle sharing with you, the little crux in the story, the gem in the story, is that we were concerned about what we were bringing back, because we're bringing plant materials and illegal perfumes and blah, 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 blah. We thought we were going to have a huge issue at customs, and we didn't have an issue at all. The parking lot was literally 20 meters away from where we collect the bags, and we were in and out, and we didn't have to walk past one official. It was so simple and so easy. And this is the key in this all, is that we had to go through a couple of days of uncertainty, of being completely outside of control of the situation that was going on. And who would we be inside of all of that while all of that was going on? Now, this is just our little one tidbit of a story of a moment when we had no control, and where we were in a situation where we had no control, but it was having an effect on us. And we learned some interesting tools about this process, about what is it that is a priority when you're in a situation where you don't have control. The 2 of us were both concerned about, were we coming back to South Africa, and were we going to get our bags back at these 2 separate points in the story? And at both sides, we both have our fears. We both have our anxieties, our worries, our concerns. We both have our hopes and desires. And these things needed to be addressed, But in the moment, maybe one or the other felt that a little bit more than the other. maybe I felt a little bit more anxious, or maybe Danielle felt a little bit more anxious, or I felt that my question required more priority, or she felt her question required the priority and to get an answer. And so we really learned how to navigate our communication through these processes. And these are the little gifts that were presenting themselves at the end of these tests that we were going through. The tests of having faith and surrendering, the tests of relaxing into something that was always going to happen, but was just something that we couldn't see was going to happen. And this has been an ongoing process throughout the year. This hasn't changed at all. This has been a very strong key theme about the integration. And what is integration really? It's such a difficult thing to really pinpoint, because the individual experiences that we went through when we were in ceremony and in Peru, they're very different from one another. And bringing those things and integrating those things require different kind of approaches from the two of us, based on what it is that we had been shown in the ceremonies, what it is that we'd learned from being on the dieta, and what that means in our fleshly life, in our body life, in our physical life, how we bring all of that down. For me, it's been a really deep year of surrender, as I received a new baseline frequency from doing this dieta. I came back and I had a nervous system that was like just so comfortable. I felt so regulated and so relaxed. I felt comfortable. I just felt at peace. I was very tranquil with what was happening in my body and in my life. We came back and the year just hit the ground running. Like I said, it started on the 1st of January, but by the end of January, we'd been home for 2 weeks. 1 week, we'd been like waiting for our bags. And so, we'd just been sitting with our thoughts and our emotions and our surrender, our trust, our faith, while all of this came through. Once it came through, it literally took us a week to unpack and share gifts and get everything going. And then before we knew it, we were back in ceremony. And we had now 3 weekends of ceremony to be a part of, to co-create with our teacher, to help and support and to learn and to share what it is that we'd received. And it didn't stop there. We now entered a whole new realm of what we had been doing for the last 7 to 8 years of our life, going into ceremony. We were now sitting on a different side of the space, and it came with a whole bunch of new dynamics, specifically dynamics that like to stroke the ego, because we are seemingly sitting in a position of authority, a position of power, when this isn't really the reality. There is no authority in the wholeness of reality. Like, where's there a hierarchy within reality when the whole system is whole? So it was really interesting to deal with these dynamics from people who'd now come to sit in ceremony that we were now working with, and we were singing, and the kinds of like ways that we were being spoken to, the ways that we were being received, which was completely different to the ceremonies that we'd been in before, when we'd been a part of the community. In a sense, we'd all been on the ground together doing this work. And it was a very interesting path to navigate. I also got huge interest in people looking to do mushrooms with me and to do mushroom ceremonies with me. I reached out to you, Jono, because I didn't want to take that role on. I wanted to work with somebody who was more dedicated to that space. And so, this was a huge test for me personally, because it came with all of the allure of what I'd already been doing, all of this authority, all of this like potential role playing, as well as the financial rewards from all of it. But is it really the path that I'd been on after I had already been committing my time, my years, every cent that I had to go and build a relationship with the spirit of ayahuasca and the spirit of Noya Rao? I hadn't really moved in. So this was a test that was playing out in my reality. And what has happened in response to that test is when I gave it away, when I gave that test away, and I said, this isn't really for me, and I used the word no, over the course of the year, it has led to a much deeper transformation within my own reality. The relationship that I've built up in response to that, in response to building a network with somebody else, has been so rewarding for me. Again, the gifts that come from medicine far supersede the tests that they put us through. It's like every single time we face a test with an A+ attitude, reality gives us a triple A+ reward. And the plants are very, very giving in this way. This weekend we did a retreat, and it's the first retreat that Danyal and I did on our own. We'd always done individual events and supported those events, but we put this retreat together all on our own. And I was very unsure about how it would all go. But by the time I was in the shower on Saturday night, at the end of a full day of being in service and connecting with the plant spirits and sharing the magic of the work that we've been doing, I just received insight after insight after insight. And it has been like I've been on a turbo boost over the course of the last month within my life, as the energetics that have gone from a 9-month incubation from January to September have now entered a new phase within my being. The energies inside of me are now at a new place with Fibonacci spiral of their growth. We've gone from 0 to 1 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 5. It's kind of now growing and expanding, and I'm receiving such beautiful insights from all of this medicine and from doing all of this work. But it hasn't been easy. I love being in ceremony. I love connecting with spirits. In 2013, after 3 years of starting to open my mind to more of a non-physical reality, I entered the realm of spirit after a freak accident. I entered the realm of spirit, and in spirit, I found so much reprieve from my physical body. So at that point, I'd been really using my physical body and abusing my physical body. And what that came with was a lot of pain. A lot of suffering came through my body. And when I got in touch with spirit and it alleviated that pain, I felt a relief that I can't even put into words. And over the course of the last 11 years, I've spent a vast majority of my time in the spirit realm. In response to that, my physical life has evaporated. A lot of my physical possessions left my life. My businesses dissolved. My friendships dissolved. Most of my physical possessions, they just left my life as I spent more and more time in the spirit realm, connecting with spirits, which really peaked in December last year, as I was now stepping much deeper into the realm of spirit, which I then brought back into this year. And I've been connecting. You know, I connect a lot with cacao, Santa Maria, a little bit of Wachuma. I haven't been able to drink any medicine since February of ayahuasca. I really miss it. And so I love being in the realm of spirit and in the realm of ceremony. But integration for me is now about bringing everything that I learned and have gained in spirit into this physicality, and being able to translate everything that comes from spirit, the love, the bliss, the joy, the understandings, the relief, the healings, the connection, to bring that into the body that tends to suffer, the body that suffers when I have to go and run and sweat, the body that suffers when I'm hungry or tired, the body that suffers when I'm burdened and overloaded or overwhelmed, or I have fear and guilt or anxiety. These things, and my path right now is this merging that is going on, this merging that is happening between my spirit and between my body, as the two begin to integrate more and more and more. I'm not going back to Peru this year. I'm not going back to Peru. We are on the precipice of Danyal going back to Peru, and it's really because I'm not ready to step back into that realm. I'm only just coming into awareness of the need for me to really embody what it is that I'm doing through my body, get really fit again, get strong again, work with people, be in community, which is the main thing that I'm going to talk about just now. I'd like to, open a space for Danyal to share a bit more of her integration and some of her personal processes. Does that make sense, everybody? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. I received a lot of guidance from one of the participants here on the call, who helped me clear the screen, really brought a lot into clarity for me about where I've been, what I've been doing, what I've been connecting with, and how that has resulted in the disconnection of my body. Before Daniel speaks, I'll share the story that really made a lot of sense. My father had Alzheimer's and dementia. He dissociated mentally from himself. And it's a really interesting perspective to understand that each soul, each creator is manifesting the reality of their highest purpose. They are doing this in some way, shape, or form from their higher self spiritual form. And so he disassociated from the body, from the suffering of his body, from the constant heartache that he went through with his father, with his mother, with his sisters, with his wives and his partners, with his business and with his life. It was completely heartbreaking for him. And so he disassociated from all of that. He wanted to go into another place. And if I spend too much time in the spirit, my body is going to respond to all of that. And I think this is also what's going on. If we are working and being in the realm of service, in the realm of spirit and connecting with spirit, that we must begin to bring those two together so that our body is seen, our body is heard, our body is loved and taken care of. Our body has a role and a responsibility in this reality, and that it is happy. It is happy to be here, that I am happy to be here. For the first time in a long time, I have been happy with being sore and stiff, from going for a run, from doing a harder class of yoga. I've been happy with sore calves and sore groins and all of these kinds of things. Because I see my body's happy. I'm happy eating more and eating more healthily and being a bit more conscious on my diet. I'm happy with all of that. I'm happy not going too far into spirit at the moment. I'm coming more into my physical body, with its things, because reality fucking pisses me off a lot of the time. Things piss me off. Like, I have my own tendencies. I get mad and upset for my own reasons, and I'm having to navigate how I embody my non-dual spiritual journey that I've been on with this physical guy that lives in polarity and also gets fucking mad sometimes, or sad, or angry, or disappointed, or tired, or whatever it is that I also go through as me, which I haven't been enjoying going through. I don't enjoy going through, but I'm stepping back into that realm of being uncomfortable, because being uncomfortable means that I'm growing here in this reality, which is the work that I've been doing in spirit and in ceremony, always being uncomfortable, facing, death over and over and over again, but too afraid to get a sore calf. The irony of it all is ridiculous, But anyway. Yeah, I don't know. Conrad, do you want to pop a message, what you want to say on a message, and we can answer you?
Sorry, I'm spazzing out with how I'm supposed to use this UI. I keep on thinking raise hand is reaction, and I want to react stuff, and then I raise my hand. Apologies.
All good.
All good.
All good. Superb. Well, thank you, my love. Yeah, deeply insightful. And it has really been a lot of my own journey too. So my integration journey, I would say, has been largely internal. As how to put this? I would say that the Dieta experiences in December was kind of like, those old Christmas snow globes where you kind of shake it up a bit and all the pieces go flying all over the place, and then they slowly come back to land in their new place. That's how it's kind of felt for me, where that was the effect that the Dieta essentially had on me. And yeah, it's been about 9 months, I would say, of just these pieces of who I am coming down back to land, and they're essentially the same pieces of who I've always been, but just coming back to land in a whole new way, deepening, learning, strengthening. Yeah, it's been a process of, I would say, really leaning into the parts of me that I would like to keep, and slowly letting go of the parts of me and certain old habits and beliefs and patterns and thoughts and so on that that perhaps served me in the past up until this point, but have kind of expired in their usefulness, if that makes sense. So the dieta itself was also like a massive learning in terms of essentially learning new songs, not just actual literal like songs, but new songs of life in a sense, that came with new languages, new songs, new medicines, new allies on the inside, because essentially what dieta is entering into a relationship, with a plant, with its wisdom, with its teachings, with what it can offer and what it can teach and what it can heal. So I've been connecting with my medicines, I would say deeply on the inside, as I am continuing to grow and expand and learn about life and learn about myself and learn about, just deepening into what this all is, this reality, this body, this life itself. I have had a big journey, an awakening of sorts, to use the word, just in terms of how much physical health is really important, to really take care of one's body, one's physical vessel. On the previous call, I think I mentioned that in a sense, I received a message in the jungle from various sources that my physical health and taking care of this body is very, very important, and particularly around my gut. And so I had quite a serendipitous meeting or an encounter or with a friend earlier this year who really imparted a lot of wisdom to me, just about the body and about health and about essentially keeping it clean. The message from the jungle through an experience that Denzil had was that if I take care of my gut health, I will live to the ripe old age of 93. So, or I guess at least 93.
I had a dream. I had this dream before we went to Dieta. And in this dream, this old teacher of mine gave me a handbook. And I opened up this handbook in the dream, and the handbook was all these drawings of a body, but it said Danyal on the top of the body. And it spoke about all of her like energetics, and it spoke about her importance to really take care of her gut health, and that if she does, she will live to the ripe old age of 93. And this is a dream that I had in the lead up to the Dieta. And then she was going through these like really physical processes of cleaning and learning about all of this. And then I said I shared the story with her that I had this dream, and that, should she really take care of her body, that she has the potential to really have a long life.
Which I'm pretty much very much looking forward to. So it's been a long process of just becoming aware of that. And like I said, the meeting with this friend was pretty serendipitous because like I hadn't necessarily shared this insight yet, and yet there it came. So I've been on a beautiful process of awareness of health and awareness of the body and awareness of just everything that is. And it has become clear to me that it's all connected. Clean body, clean mind, clean channels with the plants, clean connection. It's all related. It's all interconnected. And I've just, in a sense, been exploring a lot of that. As also, I find that the cleaner that I keep my body, the clearer that my mind is. I think also on the previous call, I chatted about the fact that I've just been coming into acceptance and awareness and almost an embracing and of my own neurodivergence, which has also been quite a thing this year, of just learning to really embrace that, and for all its gifts and for all its for all the ways in which it's a superpower, but it can also hinder. It can also be an obstacle. And so I have been learning that the cleaner I keep my body and the cleaner I keep my physical mind, the clearer the channels are and the better I can function in this life, the better I can function and be embodied quite literally in this reality, in this plane, which is currently where I live. I live in this body, I live in this mind, I live in this plane. It's where it's the home of my awareness at this point, you know, in this incarnation. So yeah, and then, you know, we've been also engaging throughout the process of this integration in some soft, they call it soft, home dietas, with the plants of Noya Rao again, and also Bobinsana for me, which is really, it's quite an interesting process working with master plants without working with ayahuasca, because the subtleties of the teachings are just that, they're subtleties. So they're quite large and obvious in their teaching, but they're also quite subtle in their delivery. It's a bit of a paradox in a sense, because the messages are strong and the teachings are strong, but at the same time, one has to have an acute awareness to pick up on the fact that what is happening around me right now isn't just life that's happening, but these are the tests that are emerging from these connections with the plants, from these open channels. Because when, particularly at home, you know, dieta is traditionally done completely isolated in the jungle. But embarking on a dieta at home is, you know, life is still happening on the outside. It's difficult to be completely isolated. So the dieta and the life that's happening could seem like two very separate things. The one could even seem like it's interfering in the other one, but essentially everything is connected and everything is related. And I would say that absolutely anything and everything that emerges, occurs, happens, whatever, while a dieta is open is the dieta. And so there were many things in my life that found resolution, but not without first making its way through storms, as certain feelings that I had perhaps kept hidden, even from myself, for a long time, came to the surface, particularly in working with the plant Bobinsana, which is a beautiful, beautiful Amazonian, it's a bit like a bush, with the most beautiful flowers, and she is known as the Sirenita de los Rios, which is the mermaid of the rivers there. And she is a very beautiful, very gentle, however, very firm teacher. I think I used the description the other day. It's like a nurse that will open up a wound, but with the gentlest hand. And there were certain things that were emerging from my heart through this process of connecting with this plant that I would say were lifelong, feelings that were not necessarily the way I'm necessarily feeling now in my life, but also I'm still feeling from ancient kind of historical experiences and emotions that I'd still been carrying. And she brings these to the surface so that they can come up and out. And the only way for it to come out is for it to come out. You see, I read another quote the other day that said something like, it's only an open wound that can heal. And so this is a lot of how I experienced the grace of this plant, because it's held, whatever may arise is held in such a gentle and beautiful way that yeah, I don't know, it's just all grace. Like any intense sort of closed container, say ceremonial experience or so on, if held well and held safely, you can really go to difficult places and come out completely whole on the other end. So that's been some of my, just a portion, I imagine, around just some of the medicine work that's been a definite continuation of the work in the jungle. Because there's this story that a maestro in the jungle, after a ceremony, was asked by one of the participants if the ceremony has finally come to an end, and the maestro's response was, "Ceremony never ends," which I find so absolutely true. I mean, integration is an ongoing, lifelong process. It isn't necessarily a week that one takes to maybe go relax in a cabin in the middle of nowhere. That's important too, but integration is really about bringing these things and these learnings into day-to-day life, which, yeah, cannot be. I think these words were even shared by a friend the other day, and it could not be more true. You know, and yeah, I've just been learning deeply about myself. Like I say, this integration for me has predominantly been internal, but I guess that's where it begins before it comes out into the external. And I've been learning about my own relationship with surrender, with trust, and with courage. And like Denzil mentioned just a moment ago, what other way does one learn about courage but through facing fear? What other way does one learn about surrender but through facing something that requires it? You know, and I feel like I've essentially, in a big way, been growing into my own skin. Last year, before we left, there were many things that I had achieved, so to speak, qualifying as a therapist, qualifying as a teacher, qualifying as a yoga teacher. I mean, many different things. But in a big way, I felt like it was a cloak that was too big for me to wear. And in the jungle, I realized that I could now actually step into this cloak and begin to full out into these cloaks of what I do, and fill out into my own skin, and to start to really embrace my own potential. And in my working realm, I really feel like I've been coming into my own while deepening the roots of the diets that were done, and deepening the roots into who it is that I am, and discarding a bunch of who it is that I no longer am. I've come into a lot more confidence, and a lot more, I don't know what the word is, but just able to fill the role without, I think there's a term, it's called imposter syndrome, without feeling like that I don't necessarily deserve to be in the role that I've actually worked very hard for. So I've been coming into my own this year in a very, very big way, becoming more comfortable in who it is that I am, and what it is that I do, and what it is that I can offer, and the songs that I can sing, and the things that I can do in service. And it has really been quite a beautiful process. And in doing that, also in the jungle, I realized through experiences that there's potentially quite an open market, and we've been discussing this and really building this idea all year, that in terms of these ceremonial experiences and in terms of these deep journeys, that there really is a great opportunity for people to really prepare very well for the journey to come, prepare on all levels. There's a lot of emphasis around physical preparation, certain diets, certain restrictions, and so on. And to also, in that, prepare the mind, prepare the subconscious mind. And maybe Denzil can expand on this in a moment, of what we've been really looking and developing in that way. but to prepare the mind on all levels to be fully on board for the journey to come. And then also an opportunity for integration, which is the theme of the call. And it is also a word that is multifaceted, which I touched on a little, but just to assist people. And what better way to be able to do that than to use the skills that I've acquired through hypnotic practices and through hypnosis and hypnotherapy and just hypno-support, essentially, because yeah, it can really help to bring a whole holistic approach to the ceremonial spaces, which you know, over the last 2 years or so, maybe a year and a half or so before even embarking on Dieta, and I embarked on a very, very deep hypnosis journey, which I feel really gave me a lot of resources and a lot of inner strength and a lot of personal tools to be able to navigate some of the more difficult spaces, and also have been very, very helpful in assisting the integration of those experiences, which not only in what I offer, but also what I've been offering myself has also been really helpful throughout the year. As the integration slowly unfolds, it's quite interesting, because another paradox of, I don't know if it's the medicine realm or just of this realm that we exist in, is that, and I think particularly with the metaphor of plants, is seeds are planted really quickly. In a ceremonial setting, it can feel like something is landed, downloaded, understood in an instant. However, whereas a seed is planted quite instantly and it sprouts quite quickly, the growth of that plant still takes time. The growth of a tree still takes time. And that is really what I'm learning throughout this process of integrating the absolutely fucking ginormous experience that we had in December. So yeah, I'm still very much in a place where I'm being tested and challenged to grow in terms of my courage, in terms of my faith, in terms of my surrender, in terms of my trust. Again, what better way is there to learn trust other than to face big uncertainty? So I am currently making my way back to the jungle to continue the work, to continue to deepening the understandings and the learnings and my own healing and my own understanding of it all, which, you know, essentially is a little poquito about what really exists. I by no means claim to understand the nature of reality. In fact, the more I learn, the less I know. But to just keep deepening that journey, so I can be more for myself, so that I can be more for others, for those that I know, that I'm in a relationship with, that I'm in friendship with, for those that I serve. And it has been challenging on many, many levels. But I am now at a point where I have deepened my faith and trust that what is supposed to be will absolutely be, and what is meant for me almost in a sense cannot be avoided. And yeah, on all levels, so mote it be. Thanks for listening.
Beautiful, Danyal. Thank you for sharing your story and your powerful integration. It's very inspiring, and I really enjoy your unique journey with it all. I think one of the key things to take away from this conversation is that integration, even Dieta in a sense, is a metaphor for what we're going through on a day-to-day basis. We're all going through our lives in the way that we're going through our lives, and we all face tests that have varying degrees of size, of consequence, of impact, of energy. And we all go through these things. We don't have to go all the way to Peru and drink ayahuasca and be in isolation to essentially go through something that has the potential to teach us and to heal us. And it's really just coming into awareness of what that could be in your life, whether it's a delay on something that you're waiting for, whether it's something that you thought was complete but is now coming around again for review and renewal, whether it's a physical issue, whether it's an interpersonal issue, a familial issue, whatever it may be in your own personal life, there is a teaching and a healing that is there for you, and that it is important to take time to integrate all of that, to take time to integrate what that is for you in the way that it is for you, and to bring that down, to bring down thoughts, and to bring down emotions, and to bring down energy, and to really ground that into the physical being, into who it is that you are in the world, how it is that you respond to your life. And so this is just a metaphor. This Dieta journey is just the kind of challenge that we put ourselves through, because we enjoy the rewards that are on the other side of this challenge. We enjoy the rewards that are on the other side of a bucket full of like bad memories. We enjoy all of that process, so we step into it. But life does other things to us too. I broke my arm in 2021. I've been on a 3-year journey of dealing with the integration of being reconnected to my body, because I was going too fast and I was ignoring myself, and I was fucking smoking a J, and I was high as a kite, and it was raining, and I was just completely disconnected. I was too busy playing with the fairies in my mind, and my body was like, what the fuck, dude? And so I slipped and fell, and that really pulled me back. And I've been integrating this lesson, this journey of what it is that this has got to teach me. So I'm absolutely positive that there are things in your life that have either happened, are happening, or are going to happen, that have the opportunity to teach you, to heal you, and to give you data and content for you to begin to integrate what it is that you can take from something, especially the things that are filled with heavy energy, with heavy emotion, elevated thought patterns, and heavy impact on the body. These are the things that really have the deepest wisdom, the deepest gifts for us. And that when we face them, man, the other side there's something on the other side. I can't tell you what that is, but there is something. And I'm sure all of you have experienced that something along the way. So my year has been super busy. It's been super busy. This has been a very dominant, energetic year. And so a lot has been happening in this year. A lot of achievements, a lot of endings, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, as we've been climbing the mountain range of 2024, up and down, enjoying the view at times, not enjoying the view at other times. And the plants gave me one message in terms of my purpose and my direction, which is, again, I've mentioned this, one of the main reasons I went to Peru was to find direction with my life. And it just gave me one word, and that word was community. And I have been wrestling with this concept for the last 10 months, almost like right up until, like, again, like I say, it's only recently that some things are coming to light. And so, like, I instantly came and I started like doing ceremonies. From ceremonies, I then started building a business, which I opened. I did ceremonies in January and the beginning of February. I then built a whole business in February, which I then opened in March, along with my hypnosis practice in March. I then went to Sedgefield for 5 weeks to spend time with my mother and to connect with her. I shared the story of how the energetics were uniquely aligned with the energetics that happened in December, and how it was important for me to be here for some of the resolution that was going on, and as my subconscious was also integrating what was going on. A lot of the stories that I'm telling you and sharing with you, these are the conscious experiences that I've been going through. There's been a whole subconscious integration that's also been going on, that affects me, that affects my family, that affects all that I'm connected to. And so I went and did this for 5 weeks. And I came back in May. While I was away, we did a soft dieta. We did another Noya Rao soft dieta with our maestro, shining light on patterns and belief systems and all the things that this beautiful plant does. I came back in May. I was still running my business. I was running my practice. June came, we did another dieta, a soft dieta. I worked with tobacco at this point, and started integrating the energetics of tobacco, the teachings that were coming through from this plant spirit. And I was still running my business and my practice at this point. July came, and it was time for me to stop my business. I came across a pattern that had appeared and was repeating in a cyclic fashion, a 9-year pattern that had come round for renewal and review. And so I decided that I was not going to continue down this particular path. And with awareness, I've made a new choice and I closed a certain part of my business. This now cut me off from the community that I was building, because I was building a community where I was adding value, where I thought I could add value on what it is that I know and what I can share. And I've been building community by serving, playing music and serving sound spaces, serving communities in that way, helping people through hypnosis processes and people that are doing preparation and integration for ceremonial processes, slowly adding value there. I then got to the end of July and I was absolutely flippin' smashed. I had now been like mentally and emotionally, like I had to be rigid mentally and emotionally. I'd gone through a few ups and downs emotionally over the course of this period, particularly around the themes of anger. Anger was a very prominent emotion that was rearing its head for resolution in my life. And it took about 7 months to come to a point where I'm now a bit more relaxed about certain aspects of my life. Like I mentioned earlier in this call, there are things that get to me, and they do get to me, and I get fucking mad. You know, a lot of you know me as with a smile on my face, and we don't always dive into the deeper sides of the things that piss me off, but they are there, and I go through them. And so I've come to a place now where I'm more equanimous with my reality. And so in August of the year, I just decided to do nothing. I was like, I'm done. I'm now going to just sit on my bum. I'm going to play on TikTok and Instagram when I'm bored. I'm going to read a book. I'm just going to do nothing, and I'm going to surrender completely to now what the plants want of me and what life wants of me. And I think I shared the story in the previous thing about just my process of surrender. My process of surrender is just blinking. It's the absolute easiest thing that I can do to remind myself that I'm surrendering to the moment now. And so I blink because it's effortless and easy and spontaneous, and it happens naturally. I don't even have to think about it, but every time it happens and I'm blowing smoke in my eyes and I'm blinking repeatedly, I'm like, oh, it's burning, but I'm surrendering to the way that this is right now. And so this was August. September came, and we were now in the specific energetics of September, and we were getting ready for the repeat cycles that are coming now October, November, December, as well as the repeat energetics from the ceremonies that were happening in January and February that were now rising and maturing in a new way. So I sat down and I built a course, and I built the technology that I had been looking to share and to create community with. And I am now at a place where I finished this course. We did this retreat now last week that has just opened up a whole realm of potential of how it is that we could serve community, how to create community, because community for me is becoming more and more important, not as an income generating environment, but as an environment from which to support others in the way that they need it, and that business happen within community. And rather that I create businesses and services that serve those who are in community while helping them and being in community with others. So this is all kind of coming to light, and it's coming to light in the way that we do our work, and it's coming to light in the way that I do my work privately with the way that it's going with the technology that I have created and developed and observed over the last couple of years, that I've shared with some of you here. Some of you have seen the results of it all. This project that I've been working with in the financial realm, you know, a very physical realm of reality that I am really aiming to forge a path in, a very physical material reality where I'm aiming to bring my spirit and my light into these realms to transform the deep, dark energetics of greed and lack and these really heavy belief systems that exist in this realm. So community is happening now around me, and it is growing within me slowly, and like this tree that is growing within me slowly in its own time, in its own way, slowly revealing more and more wisdom to me as time goes by, and as my path is really revealing itself. And so it has taken a lot longer than what I thought. I thought I was going to go to Peru. I was going to drink some ayahuasca. I was going to get a talking to about exactly what it is that I should do. I was going to come back in January. I was going to flip and do it. I was going to make money. I was going to make a difference. I was going to do all of that stuff. And I still am doing all of that stuff, but I am also doing it in the time that it's happening. And that time is a time that I am learning to surrender into, because it is a plant time. It is a time of spirit. It's the time of energy. It is not the time of my conscious mind that wants things now, because of the culture that I was raised in and the way that I've been taught to perceive reality to be, in comparison to what I've now learned over all this time. So there are deep things happening in my life in terms of integration. I encourage you to consider a path of integration in your life whenever you are traversing something difficult, something intense, something meaningful. It really can be as minute as leaving your phone off on a Friday night and connecting with a candle, connecting with your spirit, connecting with prayer, connecting with tobacco, connecting with hape, connecting with somebody else, connecting with cacao, connecting with your journal, connecting with things that you love, getting into relationship, getting into communion with what it is that's in your life, so that it can bring you the healing that is necessary when we are walking the journey of the body, the journey of suffering that occurs in the body, the pain, the aches, the journey to old age, and eventually our death. I'm getting ready for that process and being ready to embrace that process with a knowing that all is well and that this was a fucking jaw, and I'll see you again on the next trip round. So yeah, this has been my journey with integration. It's been about the joining of my spirit and my body. I have received great wisdom in my journey, and I still aim to share that with all of you, because I can't tell you all of it in this one call. A lot of it is contextual. A lot of it requires us to be in presence with one another, more so than through the screen, but also in physicality, where we are in the field with one another, able to transfer data consciously and subconsciously in a way that can facilitate new pattern creation, new timeline development within your life. I hope that all makes sense, what I'm saying, but I'm quite sure that it does, because everyone here that is on this path, that is on a path on this call, they're all on a path of self-awareness, a path of service, a path of something that is completely and utterly unique to you. It has been very interesting, and it continues to be interesting, and I continue to hope to share with you the evolution of this journey of what's going on inside of me as I bring forth everything that I've been learning, everything that I've been going through, and I just pray that that adds value. Should it not, when my time comes, I will ask the question of what was the point of it all. But in the interim, I will hold a love and faith and a hope in my heart that everything that I'm surrendering to, everything that I'm going through is for a greater good, because my intention is always that. I'm here to serve the highest good of all in the way that I can, while surrendering to the way that life decides to teach me how to be a better person, which at times, is what it is, So yeah, that's me, everybody. This has been an awesome journey. I really appreciate all of you that have taken your time to connect with us over the course of this 3-part series. It's been really interesting. It is also opening up new windows of opportunity for Danyal and I to begin to converse around a range of other topics. And we would love to talk about things. We would love to talk about things that you want to talk about. We would love to connect with you in spaces like this to have conversations where we could begin to share who it is that we are, because like I said, there are some incredible people just on this call alone that are doing incredible things, that all have a message to share and all have an impact to make. And we would love to be a part of all of that in the way that we can, to just sit down, have conversations, talk about real things that are going on and how we could create a new tomorrow. It doesn't necessarily have to be a better tomorrow. That's purely a perspective, but definitely a new tomorrow that is not a repeat of the past, something that is evolved and fresh and new and exciting for all of us. So I'm very grateful for all of you for being here and for allowing me to take this journey of reflection over the course of the last almost like 4.5 hours of you just listening to me go blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in total, you're like
Oh, yeah.
roughly by 4.5 hours. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. What he said.
What she said.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, just for being part of this. And yeah, it is an absolute honor to witness all of your journeys too, your super special, unique journeys that's just right for you in the way that it's just right for you. You know, in the words of my bestie Ram Dass, we're all just walking each other home, you know? So yeah, may it all go well for each and every one of you. May your journeys unfold in the magnificent and divine way that it's unfolding and continuing to unfold. And may you all be blessed on that path. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
So obviously, like, we've got a little bit of time here. We're not running over this time. We're kind of learning how to keep it a bit shorter. So we'd love to open up the space if you have any questions, you want to ask anything specific around integration. A lot of you here are very wise and have a lot of answers already in you. So you may not need to ask too many questions in life, but if you do have one, Danyal and I will try and answer it to the best of our ability. Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you? Is it you?
When are you going to Peru?
Soon. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Okay.
Soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Very, very, very soon.
Oh,
Yeah.
shucks.
Yeah, but I'll let
All
you
by
know.
yourself. And you're
All by
a fishing
myself.
girl. Oh, you better carry a lot of knives, though.
I am completely safe and protected and guarded and guided.
No.
So yeah, all is good.
But knives
All
aren't a
is
bad
well.
option, Mika. They're
Knives
not a bad option.
Knives aren't a bad option. I was thinking some type of plastic knife so you can get
Okay.
through the metal detectors.
Is that a real sparkler?
It's an effect. I found it.
Yeah, so soon, and I know that I'm protected on the path, so all will be well. Yeah, thanks,
I know
Mika.
Kung Fu.
Uh-huh.
How's it, guys? So I just what interests me is, you know, with the integration and the aspect, just it's been how many months since you last drank ayahuasca? A couple of months now, eh?
8.
Yeah, like 8 months.
So it's interesting for me, you know, just being observing that, you know, what I've noticed that there's quite a lengthy time of integration required. Is that enforced by the maestros, or is that what you feel? Like, if you could have drank earlier, would you have, or would the plant tell you?
John, if the maestro had come here, I would have been in ceremony. Like, I've really missed ceremony.
Okay.
Like, really missed ceremony.
Okay.
Yeah, big time.
It's
I would
just
have loved
the
to,
reason I
but-
say that is I have noticed, say in South Africa, you know, people going from Nishipa to Nishipa every 6 weeks, every 2 or 3 months, and like this continual. And I haven't seen many of them have a period like that for integration. And most of the people that I understand serving, you know, kind of encourage the guys just to keep coming into ceremony, keep coming back. But it was quite, I guess you're saying if it was here, you would have drank. But I also think that it's important to have that going through that part, a separation and a re-emergence of the new again. So, well.
So one thing that comes up for me as you say that, because it's very, very valid to have time to really integrate the learnings, and because in a sense, like every experience is kind of like bringing a whole box of new stuff home. And it is true that at some point one has to take the time to unpack the boxes. But I would say that the journey is unique to every individual person. And every individual person should check in where they're at and what their intention is for stepping into ceremony time after time after time. Because perhaps it's necessary, perhaps it's required, or perhaps it comes from a place of escapism. Because I think in a way it can be alluring to spend time in those realms and to spend even more time in those realms. So, and almost in a sense forget about the physical reality and the day-to-day and the mundane, you know, after they say, you know, like after enlightenment, the laundry, you know, it's there's still that kind of aspect. But I would say that it's got to do with each person's individual intent and their own reasons. And their own connection with the plant and their own calling to either return or to take a step back and experience the medicine in a different way, which is experienced even when the ceremony is not actively in play. You know, it's like, in a sense, I still feel like I'm integrating ceremonies from 8 years ago still. Like, it all just kind of rolls on and deepens and goes on. So I really think this is all about the individual's own personal journey and their own intent with it all that none of us on the outside can actually know about. Like it can, sometimes things can seem the way they seem on the outside, but there's a deep process going on within each and every person that steps onto this path and that walks the path in their own way that only they can see. And I think that life kind of makes it pretty clear, or to me anyway, in my experience, when it is time to step back, either because there's no ceremonies available or because that's the direct message that comes through for me. So I don't know if that answers your question or if you want to add anything.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's completely personal. Like, to give you an idea, like I started drinking ayahuasca in 2014, and only once I started sitting in Shipibo ceremonies with the maestro did I up my ante in terms of drinking medicine. I would only drink once a year. So for like 7 years, I drank once a year, 3 ceremonies, and that was it. I think maybe there was 1 or 2 years where maybe I did 6 ceremonies instead of 3. So like my personal journey with integration for me, it takes longer. Me not going back to Peru is an example of that. Like, life didn't manifest for me to step back into that space just yet, because I am still really coming into my body. I would have drunk medicine this year, but it would mostly only have been once, maybe the 3-nighter or 2-nighter, you know, not more than that, most likely. Because that's just my particular journey with that. But other people have more of an affinity to drink medicine like every 6 months. Every 6 weeks, like for me, if you're drinking medicine every 6 weeks, you're either learning to do this kind of thing, or you're in a very, very powerful, deep process, potentially. Or there are also those other things that are there. Because like it's a journey into spirit. It's a spirit realm. It's going into spirit and feeling and living in spirit in these places. And it has physical effects, yes, but it's a spiritual journey. So I think that takes time to integrate. And for me, it takes a little bit more time. And for others, I would recommend, you know, like Daniel said, they need to check in like honestly with themselves. Am I ready to step back into ceremony? Am I ready to take this journey for where it is and what it is that I need? If it is that I am ready, then sure, let me go. Like, you know, guys in Peru, they're drinking medicine twice a week, 3 times a week. You know, this isn't it's drinking often isn't an issue in the tradition. So I think it really just comes down to the individual and their decision. Then the other thing to bring into light is why are they being recommended to come back? You know, that's something. Discernment is very important. Not to succumb to, again, those perceived authorities that seem to have all the answers. You know, because they're there and they're singing the songs and leading the space, and you know they seem like they have the answers. We connected with some people last year who were being advised by their doctor to step into ceremonial spaces, and when they were in ceremonial spaces and having a tough time, they were screaming out and blaming this person for sending them there. because they were there under the guise of the other person telling them to be there. And I think we don't have the follow-up with it because we were just supporting the process. But I'm quite sure those people, they seemed re-traumatized in those moments versus receiving the healing that is possible from being connected back to spirit and back to oneself, back to one's heart, and with love and understanding and joy. So I think it's a bit of both worlds to consider. I think discernment is the number one key question in all of this.
Clear. Thank you.
Yeah, guys, just from my side, just watching you guys from sitting with you guys last year and seeing how you've gone on this journey, it's been so inspiring. And also just like thank you, seeing what you guys have been through, and like knowing that as I'm going on this journey, I have these guides that I trust and that can help me on this path. It's really comforting and assuring that we have the two of you that have shared your whole experience and your journey. And just from my side, I'm very grateful for the two of you for opening up the way that you have and for helping me on my journey. So just thank you.
Away, Danger. We love you lots, bot.
Right back at you.
Yeah. Is there anything else from the field that would like to find out something? Or are we going to bid each other good night?
I'm good with good night, but invite me next time also.
Okay.
I've got a topic for the next discussion.
Mm-hmm.
We've been watching the what's it?
Apocalypse with Hancock.
With Hancock. Yeah, it's brilliant. So
I've got a signature.
Have you got a signature? Oh, wow. But so he's brought up the whole series is about uncovering the myth in terms of humans and social community after Ice Age or before Ice Age, and goes to different sites, etc. And I think it's like, traveling in the spirit realm, there's one specific insert where every region has its own plant medicine, which connects to the spirit realm in some way. And the spirit realm has always brought a guardian to the world when there has been some form of apocalypse for humans to reintegrate into the world and to learn how to be good citizens and to have balance with the world. So I would love for us to dive into that if it's thing. And it would also be interesting if there was anything that anybody has experienced in terms of seeing the past or experiencing the past or anyway, but that's my little ask.
Okay, cool. That sounds amazing.
Cool.
Yeah. Let's chat privately about that. And then we can talk about a time and stuff. We can do it maybe in December, or we can look at this for the new year, depending on Danielle's travels.
Watch that series. I think it's season.
Okay, I like
What platform is it on?
It's on Netflix.
On Netflix. Apocalypse.
I'll share the link with you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Because we really need
Apocalypse
something to
America.
watch.
Apocalypse America. Yeah, it's all about the Americas.
Okay.
So it goes like literally from New Mexico all the way down to South America, and then dibbles and dabbles between. But yeah, it's cool.
Okay. We'll watch the series because we've just been watching The Last Man on Earth, which is just a bit comical, like mess. So
Slapstick.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to watch something lacquer. Oh, I
Okay.
have been watching Penguin. Have you been watching Penguin, anybody, on Showmax with
No.
Colin Farrell?
No.
Just pin it. It's crazy.
Okay. Cool. Thank
So
you.
is there anything else from anybody?
I think that's us, everybody.
Well, thank
Okay.
you so much for joining. Awesome.
Check, Mika. This thing, it's got like a thingy. Love it, Mika.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
Ciao,
Thanks,
guys. Lots of love to all of you.
beautiful people.
Big hugs.